Today on Lake Commandos,
The Kalahari Desert, that's what it looks like.
Steve Panaz steps up his game and takes on one of freshwater fishing's original Lake Commandos, legendary Hall of Fame angler Ron Lindner.
That's a nice fish any place.
I love fishing new water. The challenge is always the same. Find fish, trigger strikes. Ooh, that's a big fish. But what I really love is beating the other guy. I got a fish. This is Lake Commandos.
Taking the Lake Commando challenge is never easy. An unknown lake, an untested bite, and a worthy opponent tends to bring out the best in every Lake Commando. But sometimes you just have to take things to the next level, like getting in the boat with a true living fishing legend, and perhaps the original Lake Commando himself, Ron Lindner.
My first instinct, is to look at the map and look for the longest structure, the biggest structure that comes out way out in the lake, and start on the tip of it and fish from the outside in.
Question for you. How do you use water clarity when you're searching for fish on a new lake?
For me, if the water clarity is good, that means there's usually, but not always, oxygen in the deeper water. So if we're gonna go checking something out, let's start on the deep side and work in.
You know, Ron has been an innovator in the fishing industry for years. He and Al have really driven millions of anglers into catching more fish. I had the old In Fisherman sticker on my boat back in high school.
Today, Steve and Ron are faced with a pretty straightforward mission. Find and catch post-cold front largemouth bass on a mid-sized natural lake. At just over 1,500 acres and with a max depth of 55 feet, today's lake is big enough to support a wide range of cover and habitat options, from deep water humps to main lake points, to well-defined weed lines and an assortment of shallow cover, including bulrushes, wild rice, and lily pads. It's up to our commandos to decide where the bass will be, and more importantly, how to catch them.
My initial idea on a lake like this, it's very plain, simple jig with a craw. It's the easiest to fish, particularly in weeds. It's relatively weedless. Bass like it, you can fish it fast. That's the important part. Fast, and it's hard to fish bad. You drag it, lift it, jig it. Now there's ways to fish it better than others, but like I said, it's a relatively simple approach. If this is what they're biting, I'm gonna beat them. Not only that, I'll probably beat them good.
I'm gonna go with a power worm today, a 10-inch power worm, and I'll tell you why. We've got a post-cold front, we've got some wind that's gonna be picking up today, and we've got a high sun with no clouds, and we may need to go more finesse. So I'm gonna pick worms, power worms. Either it's gonna be a 10-inch like this one. There's some big fish by reputation in this lake. So I'm gonna fish this on a 5-aught hook, a 3/16-ounce sinker. I might go heavier or lighter. This is 14-pound Berkeley XT monofilament, just a great line for all-around use. 7-foot, 6-inch, medium-heavy Abu Garcia Veritas rod. And this is the Revo MGX Extreme 7:1-to-1 retrieve ratio, super lightweight, fun to fish. And this is a bait that's going to take the legendary Ron Lindner down today.
That tomahawk point, that's the longest point in the whole lake. It's across there, so I'm gonna run across. See, the weeds are sticking up here at 5-6 foot. We're getting a little high. I gotta see what the drop-off looks like. The water is darker than I thought.
The commandos begin the hunt with Ron calling the shots. Sticking to his plan, he has located the most prominent point on the lake and will start on the deep edge.
This is good though, just follow it around just the way you're going. This is perfect.
They'll fish Ron's jig pattern for 2 hours, then switch to Steve's worm program. But at the end of the day, only one can be top commando.
I'm watching the depth finder here, Steve, and all I see is nothing. The Kalahari Desert, that's what it looks like. You see anything up there?
Nothing. Boy, this lake is proving to be a surprise. I'm starting to think we're gonna have to go shallow.
I am too. If I'm going on a new body of water for bass, the first thing I look for is one of the largest, biggest points in the lake. In summer, that's where I would start. And then from there, I just start eliminating and move in, move in, move in. And I'd head up there, get out of the wind and start beating the bank. See if we can get bit. Eventually, you're going to be in the lily pads, the rice, wood, if you're up on shore. So that's the best way. I like to start from deep to shallow. There are other guys that rather go shallow to deep.
I'm gonna get him out of there, Ron. It's a big fish.
Is it bass?
It's a bass.
It is a bass.
I gotta get down in this grass. It's a big fish. Oh, that's a lard. That's a big fish. Ronald, look at that bass. That's the way to start the day on the first fish. In the pads, in the grass. Look at that belly. Thing looks like it hasn't even spawned.
Might not.
Wow, look at that, mule.
The move shallow pays off, and the Commandos are on the board. But does this fish hold the key to success, or will it steer the guys in the wrong direction? Lake Commandos is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Trilene, Anglers Trust Berkeley Trilene. Abu Garcia, for life. Power Pole, shallow water anchor. Swift, silent, secure. Garmin, the clearest scanning sonar images on the water. And by Plano, protect your passion. Lake Commando Steve Panaz is in the midst of an epic battle with legendary angler Ron Lindner. So far, the bite has been tough, but Ron Lindner built a Hall of Fame career on his ability to figure out even the toughest bites. For nearly 60 years, the Lindner name has been synonymous with fishing. Ron, along with his brother Al, have done as much or more to educate anglers and develop angling innovations than anyone in the business.
You know what, this is just like Al and I used to go barnstorming in the early days. We'd go on a lake, never been there, don't know nothing about it. If you just approach it in a analytical sort of way, go out there, deep, shallow, somewhere in between, you'll finally find it and probably do better. You do better than if you're on a lake that you think you know.
But today, even the legend is being challenged. Ron's original deep water jig pattern was a bust, so the guys moved shallow, where Steve Panaz stuck a big fish right away. But since then, it's been nothing but small bass, with one unusual exception.
Good one. Oh, what is a dogfish?
Oh, the Bowsers, I like them. When you got days like we got today,
that's just sad.
That's your luck. What do you mean?
You want to
Ready a snob or something?
Yeah. You can't tell me that's good looking.
It is.
That's hideous.
I like him.
Even the switch to Steve's Power Worm hasn't changed the size of the biters in the shallow and mid-depth cover.
Where are the 4s and 5s?
Where's the 3s? Same old.
Yep.
No, it isn't.
Not what we're looking for. You know, I can't complain about the fishing. We're catching lots of fish. The problem is we're just not getting the size that we need or want. You know, this lake has a reputation of big fish, so I don't know what's going on. We had a big cold front come through. The water temp dropped about 5 degrees overnight. And we've battled with some wind. It's starting to mellow out here later in the afternoon now. And maybe we'll pick some up. We're gonna continue to work this deeper weed edge. It seems like the fish that we are getting are a little bit bigger, but it's just a lot of these things right now. There's tons and tons of these, you know, 2-3-year-old bass. And while they're fun to catch, I get a bigger thrill out of 5s.
There's one.
Good one?
Nah, no.
Down in that cabbage,
hung on to a weed for a while.
You went back, oh I see, you went back to a worm, huh?
Well, I've been up and back. I've been throwing and then going back and up and back.
Boy, this is getting frustrating. preparation is the key to being safe on the water, Yamaha's new motor kit has all the basics you need. It starts out with 4 life jackets and a throwable flotation device. It also includes 2 boat contour fenders with straps to keep your boat in pristine shape. There's also 4 15-foot dock lines for mooring your boat. Finally, there's an air horn and a first aid kit to round out the package. And all of it's packed in this handy carrying case for ease of transportation. When it comes to achieving peak performance, maintenance matters. Doesn't it? Yeah.
This segment is brought to you by Yeti Coolers. Yeti, wildly stronger, keep ice longer. Commandos Steve Panaz and Ron Lindner have been from deep to shallow and back again. And it appears they might finally be starting to figure out a solid bigger fish pattern.
Whoa!
Well, he's his size better.
Yep.
Still, Steve, we still get a little better than what we've got before.
Yep.
I'm using the swim jig. I went to fluorocarbon from the braid. I had the 45-pound braid on the rod. I changed. I wasn't getting a hit when you were pounding them here.
Isn't that amazing how line choice can make a difference?
Boy, I'll tell you. As soon as I changed, boom.
You've seen the massive changes in the fishing industry last 50 years or so. I mean, what's the biggest change in your lifetime at least?
It's the GPS. It's made the common man an expert in days. What this reminds me of, this whole Lake Commandos thing you do. It's what Al and I used to call barnstorming. We did it for, when we were selling tackle more than when we did TV shows. We would go from town to town and never know we'd go out to these lakes cold, and we'd go into Wisconsin, Michigan, the Dakotas. I loved it because we learned and learned. We had all kinds, twists, turns, great days, bad days, fun days. And that all came out of that concept to just go fish.
Got one, Ron. He hit on the initial fall. Yeah, beauty. That 10-inch power worm. Look at that one. You got a fish? There it is, right there.
Well, another good one. That's, we're back out. That was a good move. We spent way too much time shallow, Steve, and medium.
That's a second fish in 10 minutes.
Yeah. I lost one in between here. I just lost one a few seconds ago.
Oh, I think we finally figured it out. We were running out of water. I mean, shallow, we covered it. Mid-range, we covered it. This is the first time we went deep, and it took us a while to figure this out, but we got it now.
Where are we, Steve?
We're right on that.
You're on the mark?
We must be. You got one,
yeah,
right?
I got one. It's a good, decent fish.
Is it?
Yeah.
Here, let me get the net for you.
There we go.
Nice. Nice fish,
Yeah,
Ron,
good
right there.
fish, dude. These fish these are quality. What were we doing messing around with those?
Shallow?
With the those dinkaroonies in the shallow. Look at that.
That's a stud.
Good fish any place.
That's a stud.
That's a stud.
We knew it would only be a matter of time before these two got on the right bite. Now it's the clock that is the biggest opponent because time is running out, and this Commando Classic is still a long way from being decided.
Look at that power.
Lake Commandos is brought to you by Yamaha Marine. Reliability starts here. Yeti, wildly stronger. Keep ice longer. Frayville, trusted gear since 1938. Berkeley Power Bait, fish bite and won't let go. And by Abu Garcia, for life. It's been a challenge, but Commando Steve Panaz has a small lead on one of his personal fishing heroes, Hall of Fame angler Ron Lindner.
I learned more in the boat today about the history of fishing than I've had in years of reading old magazines and going through things. He was at the beginning of the fishing revolution. He was part of the fishing revolution. He drove the fishing revolution.
Well, just like you did Lake Commandos here, you go out on fresh lakes, except we did it in those days. We had no GPS, we had no maps, we had depth finders, we flashers. We had the old flasher. But we didn't understand the function of natural lakes, particularly upper Midwestern lakes. And in particular, bass more than anything. We learned about walleye really by accident, and that came in the guiding years. But at the beginning, it was primarily bass that we based everything on, was fishing for bass. The walleye came later.
Oh, he's gonna do, woo!
Oh, okay. You want another, we need a net or?
If you would oblige, that would be awesome. Now I can stay on the spot here. Thank you, Ron.
Whoa.
Oh, that might be the best one yet.
Yeah, gooder one.
Yeah, look at that one. When we finally made the move back to the deep weed line, fishing not jigs like we did early in the day, but the worms, that's when we really started having success. And once we started catching fish, catching numbers of fish, numbers of big fish, got relatively easy. Let me get that for you. Nice fish, right? There we go.
Oh, that
might be the best one of the day
I
so far.
think it is. It is.
Beauty.
That's a jumbo jack. These are nice fish. You know, it took Steve and I all day. We had one right off the bat early in the morning, threw us off. We had maybe 50, 60 fish in between. And then finally, in late afternoon here, after catching a whole bunch of little ones up in the mid-ranges, we went out deep and started picking up these babies. And that's a nice fish any place.
Tell you what, Ron, we're running out of time. Next fish, we'll end it, and I'll take you into town and buy you dinner. How's that?
Oh, okay, that's a good deal.
Hey!
Yeah.
Well, last fish of the day.
Last fish of the day.
You need me to net
Well,
that?
I'll tell you what, no. Why don't you grab this one for me, Steve, or net it for me,
Yeah, I'm gonna
please.
net it. Hang on, let me get the lure in. How big a fish?
Hey, it's just a fish. It's not a bad one.
There we go. Well, Ron, it's not the biggest fish of the day.
No, but it was you told me you're going to take me out to eat someplace.
Well, I noticed you caught it right after I mentioned it. Let this guy go. There he goes. I knew as soon as I mentioned food, you'd catch that last fish.
Yeah. Hey, we put in a lot of time. There was a lot of hard fishing today. You know,
I actually like tough bites because you learn something on them. But today was a little tougher than I'd hoped for. But we got to figure it out in the end, and that's good.
Yeah. I could have, I could have given you one of Al's secret lakes, and we could have went there and just pounded a whole bunch of 4 and 5 pounders. But
what are you doing
want to do that? Oh no. We actually learned. We caught some 3s and 4s.
We got some really nice fish today, and
at the end
we figured it out.
Yeah,
and we figured it out.
And we did catch what, 75 fish in between those.
I bet.
Yeah.
So great day in the water, fun day in the water.
And listen, the average person would have a day like today. They'd be ecstatic. They'd write it in their book of memories.
I'm going to write it in a book of memories. I enjoyed it. Thanks, Ron. Let me get the motor up. Let's get in. Ron has Ronisms, and he drops them when you least expect it.
It's going to be a tough road to Poughkeepsie.
Dogfish.
Oh, the Bowsers. All I see is nothing. The Kalahari Desert. That's what it looks like.
I'm Captain George Mitchell. This is Coastal Chaos. You know, ballyhoo really is the universal bait. We use them lots of times whole. We'll use them in a trolling application. We've got this one rigged naked, no skirt, no nothing. But we can also put a skirt or a lure in front of them. We can also customize them we can cut them up into different pieces for fish specific just to that. Now you can get fresh ballyhoos, but I actually like the frozen version, mainly because they've been salted and toughened up a little bit. This is a double hook rig and it's actually got wire on it, stainless wire on it. Great bait for all species. Now for mutton fishing, in my eyes, there's nothing better than a fresh dead ballyhoo plug. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cut his head off, we're gonna cut his tail off. But we're gonna take it one step further and we're gonna fillet him partially from the back up on either side of the spine and remove the spine. The beauty of that is we end up with a bait that when it opens up in the currents, this releases a lot of scent. A lot of the smaller fish can come in here and peck away at it. That will release scent. With the hook just up through the tip of it, it's gonna make for a fantastic snapper bait. You know, now lastly, what we'll do with the whole ballyhoo is we'll cut them into what we call chunks. I'm gonna cut them diagonally and I'm gonna cut them in 1/2-inch long sections. The beauty of that is we get a lot of baits out of one fish, but also we're gonna have all that scent that comes out of the stomach cavity. That's gonna be going out in the water. It's gonna be great. Heck, we could catch a few snappers out of just one bally.
Coastal Chaos, tips for serious saltwater anglers.